Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. I'm in the house today with a new friend of mine, Dr. Ryan Neinstein. He is a board certified plastic surgeon in New York City and owner of Neinstein Plastic Surgery. He is often referred to as the surgeon's surgeon, as many surgeons choose him as their own trusted doctor. As the author of safety guidelines and masterclass instructor, he stresses the importance of hyper-specialization and patient care above all else. He is also an entrepreneur and frequent speaker on how to harness personal and team potential in a modern world. His most proud achievements are the loving family he has with the celebrity fitness instructor wife, Lauren Neinstein. Dr. Ryan, what's happening, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me today. I'm super pumped to be here. Very excited. Let's get to it, C-Roc.
You know what I like most about what I just read is beyond the fact that you're, phenomenal at what you do. The fact that you see the importance of self-development and continuous up-leveling. And it sounds to me like you're never satisfied with the level you are. You're always like, what's next? The future, right? What's next?
Correct.
So I love that. But before I get into any more of that, I got to ask you the question because we start the show the same way every time. What are you made of?
All right. I knew the question was coming. I knew what I wanted to say. Listen, I just want to express who I am. I am made of something very simple, which I'm sure a lot of people that you interview are. I have a relentless enthusiasm for going failure to failure with enthusiasm. And, Winston Churchill said that success in life is the ability to go failure to failure with enthusiasm. So, for me, the whole key for being made of the right stuff, as the British call it, or being squared away as the Americans call it, is just the ability to go from failure to failure and not look back, but to keep looking forward. And I have a relentless ability to do that. And that was something that's developed over time. That was not the DNA I was born with.
Great answer. I haven't heard that one before. And, I gotta start off the show by this one, because when you're in this position you are in, working with high profile people, especially, you can't really afford to mess up. So how, I guess the question is, like, if you mess up on a high profile person, are you screwed? And how long does it take to get out from that? when you're
Got it. So this is actually something I talk to residents and other surgeons about, and talking about the confident mind. And this is something that military people go through. This is something that surgeons go through, pilots go through. There are professions that can't have an off day. Okay. Your pilot can't have an off day. A Navy SEAL can't have an off day. Surgeons can't have an off day. So what does that mean? That means you have to have a bank account mentally of confidence, not arrogance, but confidence. So, when you step into the operating room, or you step into the cockpit, or you're going into combat, you have the skill set. Okay. So you should be able to relax in the tense situation. And if you have the ability to relax because you have the training, that's already going to put you in a position to win. Now, you also have to understand that there are events that are going to happen, again, in the operating room, in a cockpit, or on the battlefield, that is completely out of your control, which could lead to a negative event in whichever way, but it can affect your confidence. Bad things do not lead to bad things. Negative events don't lead to negative events. So what we do in stressful events or stressful situations where things that are out of our control go sideways, you fall back on your training. There's always a pivot. There's always another move. There's always a rescue. Okay. And you have to settle down, be still in your mind, and realize that there is no situation that does not have a backup plan. So, I'm comfortable and confident with anyone in the operating room. And it doesn't matter who the person is. And I would never look at someone, approach a situation or an operation differently depending on the person. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it matters afterwards, possibly because of their audience, right? That's the only thing I was referring to.
Listen, I know, I kind of understand what I know what you're saying. Like, if you had a negative and a high profile person, but I really do believe that if you have hey, this is what happened. This is why it happened. And this is what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be fine in every situation. You practice good, honest medicine. If you're authentically transparent, you get things done. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the only way to do it. You know,
And
you
what
have
about-
to be constantly moving forward, and your skill set's always improving. So you have more backup plans, more options.
And what about this? Does this have something to do with your
And you can't be
success?
afraid, by the way, you can't be
Yeah,
scared. Like I'm
fear,
not afraid.
yeah, fear causes more problems. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no fear and no doubt.
Yep. Yep.
Doesn't mean to be cavalier, but you can't be afraid.
Yeah. So does this have something to do with it and go into it when you have a patient that comes to you, that you take the ones that you know that you have the best opportunity with, right? Like, do you ever, I guess
So
you
that's
turn some
funny. I
people
like
down,
the
right?
hard cases. You know,
You do.
I take on a lot of the revisions. I like the challenging cases.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to really what the American dream is. And I'm not kidding. 1961, listen to JFK's speech. If anyone hasn't listened to it, listen to it. I mean, it'll, blow the roof off you and make you run through a wall. You know, America is what America is because we do hard things. We're going to go to the moon. And, these are the reasons why this is the greatest country in the world. So I don't go for the layups. I do the hard things, because when you can do the hard things, that's how you move forward in life. We don't go for layups here.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. These questions are carefully planned out. Not really. I just like whatever comes to me, but take me back, Dr. Ryan, take me back to when you were younger, like some catalytic moments in your life that really shaped you to who you are today. And you can go back for as young as you would like,
So listen, I grew up in Toronto, Canada. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. That shaped me a lot. I was instilled you have to have a sense of purpose and service in life. Like, choose a career or choose a pathway. My grandparents showed me that gives service and has purpose. And going through school, science made a lot of sense to me because of certainty. I just didn't like the arts. I didn't like that someone else got to decide for no good reason what my marks were going to be. In science, if I get the right answer, you get the right answer.
Yeah.
And then I coupled that with, I played competitive sports. I played football and rugby growing up. So, competition, camaraderie, teamwork, and certainty of science, put that all together. And that was, the recipe that led me into surgery. After, going through all the rigorous training and everything, I came to New York to do further training. I had a job back in Canada, but within 2 weeks, I knew I wasn't leaving. I knew that the American spirit, the energy in New York, like I wanted New York to be the backdrop of my story for the rest of my life. And I didn't know anybody, but I said, this is where, my story is going to be. And here we are 8 years later. I started off working for someone, went through all the, turmoil you can imagine from start. It's just like any other business. I was like renting a dental chair at one point, and now we have the biggest office in the city above Bergdorf Goodman, overlooking Central Park, with the state-of-the-art facility that looks like Elon Musk built it. And sky's the limit.
Wow, man. What position did you play in football?
Quarterback.
Oh, were you a quarterback? Okay, I was a linebacker. I went to college and played linebacker. So,
well,
yeah, awesome.
Actually, we won the city championship, but the quote in the high school newspaper was, Ryan Neinstein, quarterback, blessed with a great running back.
Hey, man, it doesn't hurt to have a great running back. That's for sure.
I mean, listen, I was more of a player coach. Okay, I was really
Yeah.
good at calling plays and keeping everyone organized. But I mean, it was, it was run left, run right, run left.
That's great, man. Well, look, so
But
when you first,
you know what? You still get the Letterman's jacket, right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the
yeah.
day, you're still, it still says QB1 on you, So.
Hell yeah, man. So when you got started into surgery, like what were you focused on then compared to what you're doing now? Was it like, you're
early
talking
on
about
in my-
hyper-specialization, for example, like what do you, yeah.
So early on in surgery, like in training, you learn the basic skills of surgery, which can be applied to anything, whether you're a heart surgeon, a brain surgeon, a lung surgeon. I mean, there's certain ways you move your hands. There's certain way the body works. And then plastic surgery always made a lot of sense to me because it was one of the only specialties that improves form, improves function of people. And I really liked aesthetic surgery for two reasons. You get these really motivated people. These are high functioning, people who are devoted to their health and wellness. They want to look better. That makes a lot of sense to me because they're great people to work with. Two, it actually got me out of the hospital system, which took away the kind of bureaucracy around how I wanted to work. I like to cultivate my team. We do a lot of team building. I'm very specific about who we hire. I'll scour the world for the right people.
I love it.
You can't do that in a hospital situation because, there's a budget from someone else. So I had to control my own narrative. I couldn't let someone else control it. But why? Listen, body surgery makes a lot of sense to me. And this may be like the simplest thing in the world, but flat tummy, perky boobs, everyone's happy. Like
I mean, I can't argue with that, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's a simple narrative, right?
yeah,
And, I work with a lot of moms. I work with a lot of people that are like me. And, my wife is a young mom. I see the way, pregnancy stretches them, tears them, droops them. And, these are people who may not have wanted plastic surgery, but they're thinking about it in a reconstructive lens, and they want to kind of undo these changes. Like, obviously, we're going to soup you up while you're there, but it's, this young mom population and a lot of people, young professionals like me. Obviously, we have older patients. We all have the same kind of story narrative. We're all trying to live our best lives. We all eat well and exercises, but there's things we can't do with our body. And plastic surgery is ideally, something that contributes to the wellness, but does not replace wellness. We're
Right.
just part of it.
Right. So let me ask you this. So being in the medical field and being a doctor,
Yeah.
and then running a business, two separate things. And how did you fare in that? And how did you learn how to run a business? Or did you get mentorship help? Like, how did that work?
So they teach you nothing in medical school about running a business. But by the way,
which is absurd, by the way. I think that's
actually, I don't even think they teach you anything in business school about running a business. I don't think you can learn to run a
true.
business unless you run a business. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
And opening up opening up like a surgery practice, like I might as well have opened up a restaurant. Okay. You have no idea, but you got, like any journey, you got to start somewhere. So you take your first step, right? What do? You get an accountant. Your accountant gets you a lawyer. Your lawyer gets you an insurance guy. All of a sudden you have a bank account, and then you have someone giving you a loan. So now you have a framework. Okay. Then you get a lease. One step leads to the next. And then you obviously have to get into there's a million things to talk about, but basically, like you were saying, I got a mentor. I went out and I didn't really seek after it, but it presented itself to me. Mutual friends introduced us, someone who was very successful in business and was willing to kind of come along on this ride for me. He is someone who really understands the value of passing on knowledge, and he sees it as almost like it's children, like passing on his DNA. I listened to him, and he took me down all the different paths. But I use the same relentless kind of pursuit I do in the operating room, I do in business. I literally, I try to read 200 books a year, and I read a book on marketing, or I read a book on human resources. And what do? I DM or I email the author, and I'm like, how do I get you on the phone? Or I got 3 specific questions I want to ask you. And a lot of the time, these guys or girls, they're happy to do it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So do you actually reach out to the authors? I love that. I do
all
the
the
same
time.
I do the same thing.
I'm literally like, I'll be like, I'm reading your book. I'm on page 237. Like, this is such an important paragraph, but I have a very specific question as it relates to my life. Here's my cell phone number. Can I please ask you? And usually they're so, it's not like, hey, tell me how to run a business. It's something very specific. They know you're engaged. They know you're playing for real, and they're into it.
Love it, man. Damn, I love that. Well, I do that. See, I have a show. So one of the things about podcasts right now, actually, just to fill you in, I teach people how to start a podcast from step-by-step process and a new tech platform we've built that has blueprints for anything out there. Right. So podcasting is one of them. And I've been talking about the power of podcasts, not just having your own show and the credibility and confidence that comes along with it, but going on other people's shows and being committed every month, no matter what's going on, to go on other shows has been absolutely like life-changing. And for the same reason that like reaching out to authors. I mean, podcast hosts are some of the most connected people on the planet.
100%.
So, yeah, I love that you're doing that. So how long have you been going on podcasts?
This is my first year. And honestly, one has led to the other. It's been very organic and transparent. And a lot of the times, like after this, we exchange phone numbers, we're texting, and then it's like, hey, I really think, my friend who's got this podcast would really like your angle because of like, the way you talk about your family or something. And then we jump on that, and then we keep going. Yeah. But like you said, is being committed to it. Like, we make it work.
Yep. That's the thing. Like I leaned into it. I was doing 7 to 10 shows a week when I first started back in 2019. And now I started a podcast agency because I had all this data. So I had this network now, not just like for the podcasting, but for business connections. Like if you needed anything, pretty much I could get I'm that guy, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because of podcast, it's just amazing. So reaching out to those authors, dude, phenomenal, man. And anybody listening to this, if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat. So Dr. Ryan, let me ask you, how did you go from when you started to being the guy in New York City to be the surgeon? Like Like what differentiates you specifically to do that? And then just kind of take us through that journey.
So I had a plan and an idea. I really knew what I wanted out of my life. And I think that a lot of people don't stop and think what they want it to be. And I wanted to have a legacy of being very meaningful in my field. And the only way to do that was to be known to do something really well. Okay. So once I had a goal, it was easier to work backwards. It wasn't like I just want to be super successful. I want to be known for doing something really well. Very specific goal. I like body surgery. Okay. I want to be the body guy. How do I do that? Simple. Basically, you stop taking consults for everything else. You say on your website, I'm only the body guy. That already changes the narrative from the outside in. Oh, well, he must be pretty good at it. He only does something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start doing research, peer recognition, writing textbooks, giving master classes, and then actually focusing on your craft. I'm always thinking about how to improve this, the 2 or 3 operations I do day in, day out. So we're constantly moving the needle forward. We're always getting better. And we amplify that message throughout, our different mediums, day in, day out. We let people know who we are, what we do, why we do it, and why they need it.
And
the last thing I'm going to say, like Warren Buffett says, show me an idiot with a plan, they'll outbeat like, a genius without one. We have a plan. We know what we're doing. We're sticking to it. And like, we're going to be unstoppable in our, application of that plan. Like nothing will get in the way.
And so why come on podcasts for you? Like everybody's got their different reasons. I know the value of it. I know that everybody should be, but like what in your mind is the reason that you started going on podcasts?
Honestly, I want to learn more from others and create a wider network, because a lot of the things that have made this practice have nothing to do with plastic surgery. The way we're cultivating our employees or team members' futures are things I've learned through podcasts. Okay. We are really sitting down with our individuals. What do you want out of your life? And we're helping, I have a nurse right now who's becoming a professional photographer. We have a nurse right now who's becoming a professional, a nutritionist. And these are all things that are adding to themselves and adding to the practice as a whole. My main man, Mitch, is becoming a motivational speaker.
Let's go, Mitch.
Like, these are things not only do they don't teach you in medical school, you don't learn on the road of, building a business, which is more nuts and bolts of, leases and loans and this and that. These are things I learned from entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are the kind of people we meet on podcasts, because I want to make my life and everyone around me's life better. It's not just what we do in this office. Like, why not amplify what we're doing?
Yeah. So that's the vehicle. Like I talk about this all the time. I have a mortgage company. I have 2 tech startups. I'm involved in a lot of things. But those are all vehicles to extend my mission, which is people building, creating unstoppable people to live in the life of their dreams. This logo, it has a C and the R's in it, but that's the people building logo, man. That's the guy holding up the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Atlas and
I talk about what
the Romans.
Dude, what you're talking about is something I preach every single day, and I love it. You don't hear doctors, you don't hear surgeons, you don't hear people talking about it like this. And
I can tell you the exact moment I realized how important. I know this may sound a little anodyne or boring. The exact moment I realized how important it was to raise others was literally the moment my first child came out, and I was like, okay, I'm now 100% responsible for this person's life. And obviously you want that person's life, your child, to be as successful as possible. And every time they take a breath, the first minute, you think you're doing something great. But then you realize if you extend that concept of like how much you care about your children's growth and how much joy you get from their growth, if you extend it to the people on your team, how do I make them grow? Because that joy comes back to me. And a lot of my, and you'll hear this a lot of my competitors or associates, they say, why are you building these people up to be so successful? They're all going to leave you. I say, if a nurse of mine goes on to be the CEO of a company, God bless her, I will feel like I did something amazing in this world. If someone elevated their life so much because of me that I can no longer afford them and they go on to do great things, that is a win. And I think I brought the world a lot of goodness and joy.
You know why they say that, right? They say that because they're scared to continue to look for people. And people like you and I that want to build people, we want to look for more people to build.
I kind of look at it like the sports analogy is like, I want to get all these people on their first contract, coming out of college, and you get this like amazing 4 or 5 year run. And then they are like going off to the next team is going to like overpay them, but like you got them on that rise.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the second dynamic, which is family, kids, and all that,
Yeah.
how does that structure work for you? Or how do you, I don't want to say balance, because we don't balance anything. We just go hard in all areas in our life.
So that's the biggest thing. You know, you can't have the sweet without the sour, right? And so me and my wife, like basically, like we have an incredible relationship. We are 100% a team on this, but like she understands the sacrifice. You know, I'm not around a lot. Period. Like I'm around, but not a lot. You know, I don't get home for dinner. Most of the time, I'm out the door before they're awake, and I come in after they're asleep. And that's a sacrifice I'm going to make. But when people mention work-life balance, and one thing I like to talk about or think about is there's different arcs in your life where work-life balance means different things. You know, I'm in it right now. We're growing this practice. So, you know, my wife's taking care of the kids. We have roles and we're okay with that. I'm growing the business. I'm growing, you know, everything for us. So in my mind, as the kids get older, I can spend more time with them later.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to be, you know.
Yeah.
I'm okay. The sacrifice I'm okay with. She's okay with. We're on the same page.
That's what's important. That's the key.
And that's the key. Yeah. Yeah. She can't fight me every day while you're not home for dinner. She knows why I'm not home for dinner, and we're on the same page. Obviously, and that's just the way it is. We make sacrifices in life. You choose them, and you don't complain about them.
Yep. I love it. So what do you do for fun, and when do you get some time for fun?
You know, for me, exercise has always been like a great way to like, it just releases all the right things and builds up all the right things. And that kind of just, so I like to exercise every day. I usually get to the gym 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, and, you know, playing tennis and all that kind of stuff. Anything, you know, athletic on the weekend I can do that's outside, I love to do. But really traveling with my family in like those times throughout the year, that's, you know, that's where we get pure joy. That's pure joy. You say fun.
Yeah.
I'm talking about at this point in my life, I'm not so worried about fun. I'm worried about joy.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a big difference. Like fun is like, you know, when you're in your 20s going to Miami for the weekend. I want joy now. Okay.
Well, look, hey, nothing wrong with that, because I'm actually going to Miami with my wife for the weekend next weekend.
No, but you know, but you know, there's a difference.
100%.
I'm not seeking, you know, how can I have the most fun in the next week?
Yeah.
And like, obviously we like to do those things from time to time, but it's like, how do I bring more joy into my life?
Yeah. I mean, you guys are in New York City. You guys go to the Hamptons?
Yeah. We have a place out there.
Yeah. So. I figure Hamptons. I mean, everybody in New York City goes to Hamptons. Or Jersey Shore, but most people are like, you know.
Hey, anyway, you pick your poison.
Yeah. So my thing though, when I go to Miami now,
the only thing about Jersey, you know, what do they say about Jersey? They don't, you know, in Jersey they only have full serve gas. I think the joke, they don't pump gas, they only pump fists.
Yeah, and no U-turns. No U-turns. So, and no left turns, I think. I mean, that no left turns, only right turns. So when we go to Miami, my idea of a good time now is like a nice dinner. And then during the daytime, man, we're going somewhere where it's like a nice plush place where I can read a book. Sit there and read a book. And that's what I like. I have fun with that. So anyway, final questions as we wrap up here.
Questions. You're not going to be going to 11 this weekend when you're in Miami?
No, not this weekend. But it's next weekend. We're going actually to the bare knuckle fights.
Oh, really?
You remember Kimbo Slice, right? You remember Kimbo Slice? They used to have the backyard fights.
Yeah.
One of his partners, Data 5000, started this thing, and now it's starting to blow up. And they have a triangle instead of an octagon where they fight, and they bring these guys that have rough lives and they bring them back into a meaningful life with bare knuckle, man. Yeah. So
that sounds like fun
down at Trump Doral. They're having an event. So, but yeah. So final questions. Let me ask you these.
Okay, let's hit it.
What's something that you've learned recently that actually like, it was either an aha moment or just like, whoa, I never really thought about it like that. Can you think of something? Whether it's your personal development stuff or.
Yeah. It was actually a bad piece of advice someone gave me and I learned from it. Someone told me recently, you know, I was telling them about a problem and they were like, you know, you should sleep on it. You should let them sleep on it, let them cool down. You know what? I actually disagree. When someone's fired up about something, call them and neutralize it right away. When people are upset, they don't get less upset. They get more upset. And they have more opportunity for other people to get in their ears. You need to call them, control the narrative, tell them, hey, I get it. Something went wrong. You're unhappy. I care. I'm sympathetic. I'm empathetic. You got to pull that narrative back into a collaborative approach. So that's an aha moment. When someone says to you, let them sleep on it, nonsense. take control of the narrative.
Yeah. And they, not just other people get in their head, but their own voices.
Don't let them spin.
Imagination starts to swirl. Yeah.
And that applies to any business, by the way, because every business is going to have a problem, right? So
Yeah,
and it's usually, by the way, it's almost always a miscommunication, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
don't let that dwindle.
Communication is the cause of all problems and the solution is what I say. So so Dr. Ryan, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I respect your time, man. I can talk to you all day. We'll be talking more later for sure. But where can the audience reach you, engage with you, or look for your, whatever you put out there besides?
Yeah, by the way, you can find us. We're on the 12th floor at 5th and 58th Street, right here in Manhattan. That's where the dreams are made. But you can follow me at Dr. Neinstein on Instagram, or check out our website, NeinsteinPlasticSurgery.com. We have 3 amazing surgeons who use the same systems and processes to give you the best results possible. And we sprinkle in a little magic into the patient experience.
Oh, shit. I don't know what that is, but hey, man, thanks for being on the show today, man. I appreciate you. You guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. And I got to say, man, Dr. Ryan's definitely unstoppable. You just heard what he said. So guys, if you have a comment, put it in the, right down below. Ratings. Listen, keep subscribing, come back. We want you to come back. Give us feedback, because we can't do what we do without knowing what you want and what you like. And if you like to watch these, you can go to YouTube at Mike C-Roc Ciorrocco. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, be unstoppable.